Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 6th, 2022, and it's been very hot and very dry, very dusty here. Haven't had any rain in a couple of weeks, and we've only had small amounts of rain prior to that, which has really been a damper on getting things done around here, and the heat's been pretty bad. Fortunately, we haven't had the extreme temperatures, the triple digits, that many places in the country have had. We haven't had the flooding. We haven't had some of the pests that some people have been having as well. We've been really fortunate. But it's still a bit of a challenge dealing with things. So I thought what I'd do is give you a quick tour of what's going on in the garden plots. And over here we'll start with the western garden plot. The gooseberries, they're having a bit of a challenge in this heat, somewhat, but they're doing okay. I haven't gotten the weeds out of here, and I can see I'm going to have to come over here and get some weeds out of here. Dang it. Over here, this area here, which is where the high trellis was, where we had the scarlet red runner beans on for the last couple of years, and I removed that and cleaned this area up. Well, we're getting a whole bunch of grass and weeds in here. I'm going to have to I've got a larger wide weed mat that I'll probably go out back and see if I can dig out and get in here. The deer and the birds have been getting after the triple crown thornless blackberries, and all of the ones up front. Unfortunately, what we had planned on doing a pick your own blackberry patches up front, that we'd had deer fencing up, the Premier 5-foot deer fencing up, and I didn't put it up this year, so the deer have been at that much more. But one of my thoughts is to take this area here, so actually going ahead and prepping a small area in here, because we don't really need as many berry bushes as we have had, and this way the deer really can't get in here. But we'll do some transplanting this fall, but getting a large weed mat down here for a period of time to try and kill off some of this weed would be beneficial. The honeyberries, or also known as haskaps, they stopped producing a while ago, but really no pests on these. It's really beneficial to take a good close look what's actually happening and all. We still have quite a few weeds in this area. It's been so hot and we've been so busy with the various projects and all, neither Thea or I have had the chance to get over here and work. We've gotten several gallons, I think 6 gallons of the blueberries, and each day that Thea was the ones that were getting ripe at the lower section, while the birds have been going at those pretty heavy duty. But no complaints. I think what we're going to do is, instead of using developing the area out back, in previous videos I was working on an area way out back south of the solar panels and going to fence that in. And I've thought about the amount of hours it would take to keep that maintained and all, and the reduction of our bed sizes. I think what I'm going to do is make these 2 rows here, blueberry plants here as well. And we'll just work on the honeyberries around the perimeter, the blueberries in the center of this section, and over here, the thornless blackberries over in this section. So those are my thoughts at this point. The lupine are doing just fine. The curly willows are doing great as well. There are some hostaberry hardwood cuttings that we did put in here. They're doing fine. A couple of the red currants are doing well. Berries are developing in the elderberry plant here. This was one of the volunteer plants. But considering how blazingly hot and dry things have been, this has a drip irrigation system going to this. I've got to check this one to make sure everything's going well with it, because I haven't checked it in a while. I think last time I did talk about Thea laid down a lot of the carpet. I picked up some of the fencing to put it on top of the carpet. It's like carpet, the cardboard sheet mulch. So we don't have wood chips to put down on that just now. Got Elon up here, getting ready to fuel up. I got to clean the tracks on Elon. I've really been using the Hulk there an awful lot with the roads. And man, the amount of dust, when I get back and I have to blow the dust out with the battery powered leaf blower, the cloud goes way up over the trees, over this section there. It is just amazing. So it's just bone dry around here, which we really could use some water. In the central garden here, I did come in and we had finished getting the broccoli. I think I talked about that last time. So I took all the broccoli plants out, cut them off at ground level. And there's a couple that are a little bit taller up at the other end I'll have to knock down. And what I'll do is I'll come through with a broad fork potentially and the tilther and start some cover crop seed in both of these. Thea pulled back the weed mat. So this was where the broccoli was. This is where the red Russian kale was. It just got to be too much stuff. Thea harvested a whole bunch. This is our Premier kale. This is still doing really well. Thea came through and weeded all of this garden and pulled off all the lower leaves on the San Marzano tomatoes. There's a couple of them that are ripe, but over the next couple of weeks they'll start ripening up, and so we'll have a few weeks of really nice San Marzano tomatoes. The red onions are doing very well. It's hard to see them and all. And I try not to destroy any of the cobwebs in the gardens here. But they're coming along pretty darn nicely. Thea came through and weeded those. There was lots of purslane you may have seen in the previous videos. And we had lots of grass coming up in it as well. So all of these look really well. Thea's been harvesting them regularly for our meals and all. These are the banana peppers in here. They're doing really well. Of course, the peppers really love the heat as well. These are the blue flesh Irish type potatoes. So as you can see, the vines are dying back. So it's time now. Maybe within the next couple of days, I need to turn off this irrigation here. But we wait until the vines die back, and then it's time to harvest the potatoes. So we'll see what we get out of this. I didn't do any hilling of the potatoes this year. There is seed for either clover or chamomile alongside of here, but you can see the lamb's quarter and the purslane and some grasses are in that area. So, you know, I guess one of the things that I'm always looking at this season is realizing we're slowing down. We've always produced way more than our needs. I mean, Thea's still going through the root cellar and taking lots of our canned goods. It's like 2016, 2017, and we're just composting that material. So all of the material, even the noxious grasses, the only thing weed that we get that comes out of the beds occasionally is bindweed, and that's the one that we don't do the composting with. Now, if I was doing thermophilic composting, that'd be a different story. I wouldn't worry about it. The scarlet red runner beans are doing very well. The butterflies and the hummingbirds are here pretty much consistently. We really enjoy them. The path crops, the living paths, we had planted the Roman chamomile and Thea planted the Roman chamomile and the white clover down here. We allowed a lot of the lamb's quarter. There are grasses in here as well, and the purslane to grow up, and that'll help to protect the plants as well. This is our trial to see how well this does. I don't know that it will do very well. So I came through this morning and weed whacked. Don't want to go right down to the ground level with this, but hopefully this will work out pretty well. Scarlet red runners. We're just starting to get some tassels for the corn. Again, this was a couple of weeks late because I had initially soaked the kernels, and the earthway cedar rejected those kernels going into the ground. So, and there are soy plants down below. They aren't doing great. They were inoculated with the rhizobacterium, so they should be fixing nitrogen, even though they may not be producing too much, fixing nitrogen into the soil. And the corn is a heavy feeder on the nitrogen. The kidney beans are doing really well in these beds. Kidney beans doing really, really well. The jalapeno peppers doing great. So we got peppers on all those. Nothing's turning red yet on any of those. These are the russet. This is the russet potato bed here. I'm stepping on all of our new seedlings here in the ground. You might be able to see some of the chamomile down here and some of the clover just starting. Of course, I stepped on it all earlier. And get rid of some of these. So these potatoes, the russets, aren't quite ready yet. We really want these vines to die back. The black-eyed Susans and the chamomile all in here have been doing really well. So pretty happy with those guys. It's really nice to see some of the flowers. We enjoy the flowers a great deal. It's kind of nice when we look out the window and see them all here. And I love watching the hummingbirds here. I tried filming them. They don't really show up without a good camera to zoom in with them. Sweet potatoes have been doing pretty well so far in here. The flowers along this side, again, a lot of this is just mulch over in the sides here, so it isn't doing quite as well. The handicap gardens, all those volunteer tomatoes are doing really well. The strawberries are doing pretty well, and the other day Thea came through and harvested the parsley, and it's coming back like crazy. And of course, we got some of the strawberry runners here coming out, and more of the parsley coming back. A few of the banana peppers here, more of the tomatoes, all along in this bed. More of the red onions over here. We used to plant the red onions in triplets, and they still do really good in groups of 3 or 2. These ones are 2. But now whatever shows up in a cell is just fine. So a couple rows of onions in here. They are starting to get shaded out by some of the tomatoes and the purslane. So some more weeding to do here. And again, the sweet potatoes. And I weed whacked out here today. Very much needed. The area where all of the spinach was, Thea's got black plastic down. That'll kill all of the weeds, and those plants, the basil, are still doing pretty well. Dill looks rough, but dill's going to seed, and Thea will have that as well. All of the herbs over in that section are doing really well. So all in all, pretty happy with how well things have been going. I've spent so little time in the gardens. This week I did do some of the, dealing with composting the broccoli and the red Russian kale. Thea's been doing lots of weeding in the area as well. But it really is challenging, the amount of heat and the dryness that we've had dealing with the rest of the things. Really haven't done any work in the food forest. I probably should make a video just going around. Some of the trees have way too much fruit on them, and they're really bending it quite a bit. But there's some things I just can't get to. We got to get a lot of the cages out from around the trees. The trees are expanding, growing out through the cages, so that's a hassle as well. And some of the trees need some more support as well because of the high winds that we get here. And a lot of the trees, we just don't have time to harvest all of the fruit from them, like all of our Illinois mulberries. Man, those things are really produced like crazy. But it's competition with the birds. You got to go out there just about every single day. Same thing with the blueberries. There's so many berry plants that the birds are just waiting till they're perfectly ripe, and they just like a gang going in and getting them as well. So enough of me babbling about what's going on in the food forest and all. I'll try and make a video, at least do a walkthrough. It's a little bit embarrassing because we haven't done any weeding out there and haven't done the pruning, haven't done the thinning, all of the things that we should do. But these are times where we can sit back and assess and say, well, what do we have time to do? How do we want to cut back in the future as well? And how do we want to modify our plans for the future as well? So there'll be videos coming up about those things as well, but you got a little bit of a bite of a taste of some of the things that we're modifying and the progress that we're making so far. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up. Feel free to comment. Tell me how things are going with your gardens. I know Thea and I, our hearts go out to Tim from Tim's Permaculture Homestead. Boy, has he had a really bad time with the stink bugs in Ohio. And you know, it's just a matter of time before we deal with the stink bugs here as well. We have the native stink bugs here. We don't have any. I've seen a couple of the marmorated stink bugs, but I haven't seen a whole bunch of them. So it's just a matter of time. As the climate is changing here, it's going to be more of an issue as they just keep progressing. Lots of challenges ahead. I hope people are taking good care of themselves. Those of you who can produce some food, process it as best as you can so that you can prepare for challenging times ahead. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and have a super fantastic weekend. Bye-bye now.